Because we're on Conversation 99, Kelly.
Nuh-uh. Oh my
I
God,
mean,
I didn't change it.
you
Ugh,
change your cover slide.
ugh, that's the worst. It's not conversation number 99. I feel like I should just like edit it right now. Don't you? It's conversation number 100. That's terrible. And that says that's John Lovett too. That's not even the right one.
Well, where's John? He can present.
No, there we go. That's the right conversation. How about that? Woohoo! Is
Mm.
that better? Okay, welcome back, everybody. Conversation number 100. Woohoo! With Talia. More data, more tools, more meaningless A/B tests equals more distractions. But before we start, let's start by thanking our wonderful sponsor, Conductrix. They've been with us from the beginning. Thank you, Matt, Nate, Ezekiel, Ashley, and the entire team at Conductrix for sponsoring the TLC. We'd also like to thank our other TLC newsletter sponsors, starting, of course, with Conductrix. And again, Growth Book, thank you all for providing your thought leadership to the community. And before we go on, if there are any other newsletter sponsors that are interested, let us know. We've got a couple of spots. If you're interested, reach out. Thank you to Convert for sponsoring the Conversations channel. There's some really great conversations going on right now. Hop over to the Conversations, answer some questions, get to know each other, and you can win prizes every month just for asking and answering great questions. Last, far from least, thank you, Eddie Aguilar and Blazing Growth for sponsoring the community. Okay, so let's talk about Talia. Most of you probably know Talia. If the Justice League had a chief conversion officer, I'm convinced it would be Talia. She's the founder of Get Uplift, the agency that brands call when their funnels need more than a quick fix and a headline swap. With her emotional targeting framework, Talia doesn't just optimize pages, she unlocks the kind of results that would make even Bruce Wayne raise an eyebrow. She's spoken on stages from GMS to Google, and she's been recognized as one of the most influential experts in experimentation. But what makes her a real superhero in our world is that she doesn't settle for surface level tactics. Instead, she digs deep into what really drives people, their hopes, their fears, their emotions. Because as she'll tell you, conversions aren't about button colors, they're about human connections. And here's the part I love. Talia is not just teaching emotional marketing, she lives it. She grew up as a comic book fan, and when she wrote her book, Emotional Targeting, she scrapped the safe and professional design just days before launch to make it feel like the superhero story she loves, and it worked. Like Wonder Woman trading in her invisible jet for a more powerful lasso, Talia showed that staying true to who you are is the real secret weapon. Let me show you what I mean. I really love this book. I got it last week and I powered through it in one night because it was really hard to put down. So I put bookmarks in some of my, to give you all some examples, and I used Experimentation Island bookmark pictures. So you guys get to see the pictures too. So here's one of the pictures, bookmarks. Here we go. There's the picture of, some well-known faces you guys may know there. Here's a little excerpt from here. It's actually impossible to make decisions without emotion. That's one of my favorite quotes because I think we all know that's true. So that's one. And then here's an example of her changing. Well, here's the picture first. Here's Tim Wilson getting his much beloved hug. If you don't know, Tim hates hugs. And here's Talia making sure that her chapters get the superhero styling. And I love this. Spider-Man has spider sense. Professor X has telepathy. Marketers have emotional targeting. And last example. So Aaron Weigel has the quote, "Make things better, not just different." And for those of you who don't know, I got it tattooed on my arm. So Aaron and I took a picture with her sticker on her arm and me tattooing it on my arm. So This is one of my favorite tables in your book. You're making it about you, cloud storage and backup. You're making it about the customer. Relax, knowing all your critical data is protected with cloud storage and backup. Great examples throughout this book. If you haven't read it yet, please go get it. Talia, you did a great job.
Thank you.
So, get ready to learn how to add a little superhero strategy to your own marketing. Maybe walk away feeling like you've got your own cape tucked under your blazer. Please welcome Talia Wolf.
Thank you. I do, by the way, I have it here. So this is the original book. I got it and yeah, I scrapped it. So this is real proof. It's the actual, it's the actual book. And I, yeah, decided not to go with it. So today I'm really just going to walk you through high level of my emotional targeting framework. Some of you might have heard of it before, maybe follow me. So this is just going to be, yeah, a bit of a deep dive into it, but more high level. And then I would love to take any questions that you have about implementation and how to actually get into, yeah, into practical stuff. And I'm going to show you some case studies and let's get started. Where is my share button? There we go. Awesomeness. Okay, so where are we? So quick explanation to why I built the emotional targeting framework. When I got started with Zero, everyone told me that it was super, super simple. There was a 4-step process. All you have to do is find the link in the funnel, create a new variation, launch an experiment, and analyze the results. And I was like, awesome, cool, this is super easy. I'm definitely going to find the link in the funnel using, Google Analytics and now GA4. I can launch an experiment back then, maybe with Optimizely or VWO, depending on the tool you are using. And I used to be quite a good analyst, so I could definitely analyze the tests. But there was one big thing I wasn't sure about, and that was yeah, but how do I know what changes to make? It's great that I have identified that it's my homepage or my product page, but how do I actually know I should test this and that will increase conversions? And that's when I did what most of us do, which is, duplicate a page, change one element on it and hope it will increase conversions. As most of us in the room know, that's not really going to work. I mean, it can, but what are you going to do with it? And I found myself on what I like to call the deadly hamster wheel of optimization. Maybe some of you know it. Maybe some of you have been on it. Maybe you're currently on it. It goes a little bit like this. So you start by testing random stuff. You Google best practices, you go into your best LLM and you throw your page at it and you tell it to give you some suggestions and ideas on what to optimize and how to make it better. And you end up with, the button color tests. And when that doesn't work, you think to yourself, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy my competitors because obviously they know what they're doing. So you go over to your competitors' websites and you're looking at their stuff and you're like, this is great stuff. And you copy everything. And the result of that is not only did you not increase conversions, you actually start sounding like everyone else. So everyone in the industry looks the same, talks the same, uses the same messaging, same colors. Everything's just blah. Is maybe a good term. But the worst part about it is that you're making it super hard for prospects to know what the difference is between you and your competitors, and you're making it really hard for them to make any kind of decision. And when that doesn't work and you're like, I've tried everything, the next possible best thing is going to be, okay, I'm just going to find the best tool that I can and I'm going to throw it at the problem and it will fix it. And you spend months onboarding the sleekest A/B testing platform or the best automation platform there is right now, or an analytics tool, or maybe you get a great budget for some AI tools and you spend months and just trying to onboard it and get everyone to use it. And then you've got all the money that you're spending on this and the time. And when it's finally in place and you have that shiny landing page builder or A/B testing platform, it's time to start using it. And then you just go, so what should I test first? Well, I guess I'll go back to testing random stuff because there's no strategy. We're just going, on and on in this, in this deadly hamster wheel of optimization. Maybe you've been on it, maybe you're still on it. And the reason this is happening, what I learned is that we have a big problem in optimization is that we are really treating it as tactical, technical pieces of optimization. In order to increase conversions, we need to know who we're actually selling to so that we can sell more to them. But when I ask people who they're selling to, who their customers are, you usually get this kind of description, right? Like Josie is a woman aged 35 to 50, living in the US. She manages a team of 10 people and is in the 100K bracket. We know their age, their location, their job title. We know their gender. We know their browsers, their devices. We've all been told to be data driven. We collect data like they're gotta catch them all. But 82% of marketers have no confidence in their ability to analyze their data. We're just collecting this data. We don't know what to actually do with it. And we're looking at our prospects like they're numbers, like they're elements, like they're pieces of data and not people. And when I ask, hey, so why do prospects buy from you? Usually the answers are very kind of, okay, it's our AI, it's our technology, it's our features, it's our pricing. And this is what we know. We know behavioral data about our customers. We have this list of things that we've been told that sell, and we end up speaking to the building and not the person inside. We are heavily focused on technical stuff. Now, usually when I get to this part and I say, look, guys, we really need to be able to level up. We need to know how to optimize our pages and our funnels and be better at what we're doing. Someone will usually say, well, we can use AI. So as the world moves into AI, which again, not a lot of people are, but marketers are doing their best to use AI. So let's say the world is filled with just marketers. As we all move into AI and we convince ourselves that this is what we need to do, we have to use AI, there's more and more sameness. Everyone starts sounding the same. And I wanted to show you an example. So I used ChatGPT and I said, please outline a landing page for a well-known soda drink. This is the target audience. Don't forget, you need an attention-grabbing headline. I want you to clearly describe what this drink is and its primary benefits. Use the final section to invite people to buy it, of course. And here are our main selling points. It's $14, 140 calories, multiple container options. So I literally put in all the data that we all collect on our customers and that we know. And ChatGPT, being incredible as it does, it totally complimented me and said, great job, Talia. This is wonderful. Here's my suggestion. Use a catchy headline, add a subtitle, use the limited time promotions, and highlight the key benefits. And what I did is I just said, you know what? This is a wonderful suggestion. Thank you, ChatGPT. And I created that page. And the funny thing about this is that you will never, ever, ever see a landing page like this by Coca-Cola or Lego or Nike, but we're all creating this shit. Like we're all running around and saying that we're the #1 platform in the world, that we're powered by AI, that you should buy our products because we're the cheapest or we have the best technology. And this is a problem. And what we need to do in order to increase conversions is we need to understand the real why people buy from us. Once you understand why they buy from you, it's so much easier to create content and funnels and websites that appeal to those emotional decisions and to those emotional motivators. So just a reminder, this is not how people make decisions. I know we've all convinced ourselves gladly that when people need to make a decision, they go through this elaborate process of thinking about the pros and the cons and what makes sense. And then we finally reach this rational decision. But neuroscientists, psychologists have proven, and really the biggest brands in the world have proven for hundreds of years that this isn't how people make decisions. This is every single decision that we make in life is based on emotion. It's powered by emotion. And if we are ignoring this, we are making a huge mistake. Now, honestly, most people will say, of course, people buy an emotion when they're buying a watch or if they're buying a dog leash or anything that's like in the B2C. But I just want to tell you that B2B, I would argue, is even more emotional and there's even more emotional triggers involved. In fact, Think with Google recently found that B2B purchasers are almost 50% more likely to buy a product if they see personal value attached to it, which is super cool. And that's not even it. They are 8 times more likely to buy a product that costs more if they see personal value. So think about it this way. If they are looking at 3 or 4 different softwares and they're like, okay, this all seems the same, but one of them is more expensive, but that one shows personal value to them, which we'll talk about what that means in a sec, they're going to buy it, even though it's more expensive. But companies are ignoring this everywhere. And we're describing our customers and we're thinking about our customers as data points. So who are we actually selling to? Our customers are asking, will people see me as the go-to? Will I feel more confident? Will I get career advancement? Will I finally stop worrying about this? Will I feel better about myself? Will I get promoted? These are the questions that you need to be answering on your pages in order to increase conversions and really drive more meaningful results. So if you want to stop kind of talking to the business, to the building and start talking to the person, I want to quickly review this tactical go-to CRO process I introduced you to before, which we're all kind of aware of, right? Because this is how we do CRO. So we start with data analysis. We look at GA4 or we look at whatever we're using, maybe Amplitude, to identify what page isn't working. And once we found out what page isn't working, we create this new variation. So we come up with a list of changes. Maybe we're basing it on best practices. Maybe we're basing it on competitors. Maybe our neighbor's cat had some ideas on what to do. But we're basically just, okay, this sounds like a great idea. Someone told me, my manager said I should try this because our competitor's doing it and so on. And then we launch an experiment and great, if it increased conversions, it's a success. If it didn't increase conversions, then it's a fail. But when you do customer first optimization, which is within the emotional targeting framework, it works a little different. First, we start with customer first research. We identify the why and the where. So why people buy from us and where the problem is. That's where you get started. And I'll show you a few ways to do that. Then we identify the problem. We uncover what's preventing people. So before we come up with a lovely list of A/B testing ideas, we uncover what's actually preventing people from converting. It's one of the biggest missing pieces in CRO processes is actually identifying what the problem is. Once you've done that, you can create your variation and then you can launch an experiment. And the great thing about that is that if you increase conversions, that's a success. If you didn't increase conversions, it's still a success because you've learned something from the actual test because you had an hypothesis and now you learned something, you knew something, and you can use all of this information to teach everyone else and kind of spread it around. So I made a list of what is tactical CRO and strategic CRO. So tactical CRO focuses on increasing testing velocity. This is when we buy an A/B testing tool, and now everyone keeps asking us, how many tests have you ran so far? How many tests? Because that's what we're being measured on. But strategic CRO leverages tools to implement a testing strategy. It doesn't use tools as a crutch. It asks, tactical CRO asks, what should we test next? What elements should we change? But strategic CRO has a clear roadmap that's rooted in strategy and business goals. Tactical CRO is driven by best practices, C-suite, guesswork, competitors, tactics. And strategic CRO runs experiments to solve problems, not change elements on a page. Tactical CRO measures success based on uplifts alone, and strategic CRO informs marketing, sales, and product. So when you're doing it right, you can use the learnings for everything. So maybe you're doing a bit of this, maybe you're doing a bit of that, maybe you're on one side of the map, but this is a good way to look at it for a moment and ask yourself, where am I? Because if you are on the tactical level, then we need to start talking about strategy. If you're doing strategy, then maybe we can talk about how to make it even better. So the emotional targeting framework is a framework that I developed almost 15 years ago, which is kind of bizarre to me how long it's been. But again, was born from just not knowing what tests to run. And it's based on 3 simple steps. So the first one is really conducting meaningful research. So of course you need to go into Google Analytics, and of course you need to identify the best pages to test on. And of course you need to do heat maps and user recordings and all the stuff we've all heard about and we use. But the piece that we're missing before, not as an add-on, not as I'm going to do a quick audit, I'll run a few tests for my client or for my business, and then I'll do some customer research. This should be done before. You should be doing customer and visitor surveys. You should be doing customer interviews. You have to be doing social listening on Reddit, Quora, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, and more. You should be doing review mining, and you should be doing an emotional competitor analysis. Customer and visitor surveys, obviously, we all know what that is, but it's taking the conversation away from why did you buy from us today, and trying to get deeper into the motivations. What was going on in their life that made them search for a solution like yours? What don't they like about how they're currently dealing with this challenge? In customer interviews, I'm sure you've heard this from multiple people. The identifying the why is the most important thing. One of my biggest tools that we use is asking why 5 times. So when someone answers, you say, why does this matter to you? Why do you care? And you keep getting deeper answers. The 2 things I wanted to focus on today mostly is social listening and review mining. So I'll show you a few examples in a sec. Emotional competitor analysis is one of the biggest tools that we use at Get Uplift. It's a CRO agency that I run. And what we do is we go beyond regular competitor analysis that looks at the features, the technology, the pricing, and we're looking at deeper stuff like what messaging our competitors are using, what visuals they're using, what their biggest promise is, who they're speaking to, and really identifying opportunities for optimization and standing out in a crowded market. When it comes to social listening on Reddit and Quora and LinkedIn and Facebook, this really is one of the biggest opportunities that you have. All of these conversations are now happening here. So people are not going to your website to make a decision on whether they're going to buy from you or not. They're on Reddit. In fact, Rand Fishkin yesterday, I think, posted a really cool video with some data that, some research that they did with Datos that showed that yes, Google search is actually losing its search volume, but it's not to AI as we all think. It's actually to YouTube search, Reddit search, and Pinterest. So those people who are no longer Googling for answers, they're on Reddit because Reddit, for example, has managed to position itself as the go-to place for having authentic conversations. And people are actively on Reddit right now trying to decide whether they're going to use your product or not. So just something to think about. One of my favorite tools, which I hope everyone here knows, is Almost Asked. It's one of my favorite.
I just wanted to know if Will was here.
No. Thank you. Well, there's my daughter. She is 6 years old and she no longer understands what knocking is or doesn't care. So one of my favorite tools that I love to recommend is Also Asked. Almost every single search includes emotion. We need to find them. So I love showing just this example of what is the simplest accounting software for small businesses? Can I do my own accounting for a small business? And Also Asked will show you all of these incredible additional keywords that people are using to search. And what I love about this is, but you'll notice that you can really just take the keyword that people use to find your brand, put it in here, and it will give you all the questions that people are asking. People are asking, can I do this myself? Is it worth it? And then when you go and look at the landing pages, they're all super technical. All your business on one platform, automate your invoice management today, the UK's favorite tax filing software. There's nothing in here that answers any of those questions that people had. There's a huge emotional gap. Prospects are asking, can I do this myself? Can I stop worrying about this? How do I know it's for me? And we're all here going, we're an all-in-one platform. Choose us. We're the #1 solution. So we need to bridge that gap. I was talking about this a moment ago. So the most visited websites in the world are YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit. You can see, by the way, that the most cited domains in Google AI overviews are Quora and Reddit. And there's a reason for that. There's also a reason because Reddit's kind of owned by Google in some way, but also it's just they know that that's what people are looking for. And you need to be in these conversations, and it is really, really important because your prospects are talking about you and their pains on Reddit and other forums, and you need to start listening to them. We recently did some research for our project management solution client, and this is what we do. We mine through hundreds of conversations happening on Reddit around how they choose software and how they go about it. And it really is a great way to identify sentiment and what people are thinking and how they make decisions. So let's quickly touch on what are the most common emotional triggers that impact buying decisions. So there are 223 emotional triggers that we've uncovered over the years, but what I've found is that there are two main clusters of emotions that impact buying decisions. So if you're listening to me right now and you're like, yes, Talia, like I'm sold, of course, emotion matters and I want to work on this. There are two clusters of emotions that you should be focusing on. The first one is self-image. It's when I'm buying something and I want to feel a certain way about myself. So basically, you need to start thinking about how your prospects want to feel about themselves after finding a solution. They want to feel effective, meaningful, smart. They want to feel happy. They want to feel successful, good about themselves. There are multiple emotions at play in here that are all to do with our self-image. And we need to be thinking about that when we're creating a landing page or an email or any type of content. Shopify doesn't sell software, it sells the dream of entrepreneurship. So your mom should be your first customer, not your only customer. Let's make you a business. Really touches on self-image and how we want to feel about ourselves. We're going to be successful business owners. The next one is social image. How people want others to feel about them after finding a solution. I would argue that this is even bigger and more important when it comes to B2B. This is what people are looking for. They want to feel admired. They want to be looked up to. They want to feel envied. They want to be the go-to person in the office. They want to be loved. And really, IBM got this really well in the 70s, understanding that B2B decisions are highly risky, and nobody ever gets fired if you choose IBM because it is the most trustworthy thing. So we need to start thinking about what are the social image triggers that people and how they want to feel about, how they want others to feel about them. By the way, my favorite B2B ad is the Split by Van Damme. This ad cost $4 million to produce, and it made $170 million in revenue, a 31% increase in sales from Van Damme doing the splits, but it was genius. And it just shows you, hey, they're selling lorries, they're selling trucks. It's a B2B product, and it sold so much more on emotion. So what do we do once we've done our research? We have done interviews, we've done surveys, we've kind of started digging into conversations. How do we translate that into something? So the next thing we need to do is audit our website. And usually when we think about auditing our website, we think about a GA analysis, heuristic analysis, heat maps, comparing against like a best practice checklist, creating a list of A/B testing. That's what most audits are about. But what I actually want to ask you to do is to go the extra step and start uncovering why people aren't converting. Now that you're armed with more information that's emotional and strategic about your customers, you can audit a page from a more strategic lens. So it's actually taking a step back and not asking yourself, do I have 2 call to action buttons, or is my call to action button above the fold? It's asking questions like, are you making it about yourself or about the customer? Can prospects see their pains reflected in every step of the journey? Does your design, do your UX, colors, and images all support your main message? Are you highlighting the outcomes that prospects care about? And are you using relevant and helpful social proof? These are questions that you need to be able to answer. And you can't do that right now without having that meaningful research, without really understanding who you're speaking to, how they want to feel about themselves, how they want other people to feel about them, how they describe your product, how they describe their top 3 pains or their desired outcomes, how they discuss their frustrations and challenges. Once you know all that, you can answer these questions so much easier, and it's a lot easier to come up with a hypothesis. So I'll just show you a few quick case studies. Are you making it about yourself or about the customer? This is Strata, an identity orchestration company. It really is an incredible product that is, you don't really need to understand how it does, but what it does, but it has excellent identity access management software, and they have an amazing team that's devoted to their customers' needs. But the sheer technicality of this product is so hard to understand that their prospects just couldn't see themselves on the page. And we did a ton of research, and we realized that there's actually an identity hero in every company. The person that's in charge of reducing tech debt and modernizing non-standard apps, but doesn't accept the risks. And again, like, we don't really have to understand this to get what the product is or what they do, but you can immediately see the difference when you start talking to the person who's actually making the decision and about who they are and what they do and what they're trying to achieve. Make modern identity work everywhere. Every single piece on their homepage, for example, was meant to really highlight the specific things that they were trying to get done and what they were trying to feel at the end of it, what risks they were trying to avoid, and how they were going to feel about themselves. We did this not just for their homepage, we did this also for their ads. The original ads were multi-cloud identity fragmentation meets Strata's identity orchestration. Identity orchestration, is this breaking my teeth? Identity orchestration makes multi-cloud work. Book a demo, make identity secure on any cloud. We changed the messaging around making it easier for people and becoming the hero of your company, the hero that your company needs. We even did a billboard for them once, wrote the messaging for it, obviously did not produce a billboard. I wouldn't know how to do that. Downtime is inevitable. Business impact doesn't have to be. Keep access to mission critical apps no matter what. The few years before that, their billboard was make identity orchestration work for you, which makes no sense for someone who's driving to work that minute and wants to figure out how to become their own hero in the company. So that's just about, are you making it about yourself, about your product and your features and your technology, or are you making it about the customer? Can prospects see their pains reflected in every step of the journey? This is Social Media Examiner. They run one of the biggest social media marketing conferences in the world. And they hired us a while ago to help them sell more tickets for their event. This is their landing page, and we could not change anything about the design. It's on this WordPress template, which is lovely, and it was fun. But what we learned was that they were highlighting things that these social media marketers, not didn't care about, but it wasn't about them. It was about, meeting these incredible top experts and learning from the best social marketers in the world. But when we did our research, we actually uncovered that social media marketers are exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They have no idea how to choose a tactic, what platforms to work on, how to build a strategy. Things change daily, and they needed support. So we actually added more copy to an already very long page, and we started talking about their pains. We started mentioning their struggles and how they feel, and the fact that they are having a hard time knowing what to do. So, for example, imagine keeping up with important trends and knowing exactly how to successfully implement the latest techniques. Imagine having all the wisdom you need to support every marketing decision you make. If you're struggling to keep up with an ever-changing nature of social media marketing. So all this positioning and all the messaging on the page was now about their pains. And then we could say, learn from the best top marketers in the world, and actually get all their secret roadmaps and playbooks and whatever. So that's an example of how you can reflect pains, because it's not just about the flashy headline, it's about everything on the page. Does your design, your UX, colors, images, do they all support your main message? This is Upright. They have a posture trainer. It's this size, pretty cool. You place it on your back and you can, and it will, every time you slouch, it will just buzz and it will remind you to sit up straight. It's a very cool product. We worked with them for a very long time. And as you can see, the people that the person that's on this page does not represent the people who are in this room. Most of us, because most of us are sitting in front of our desks for 10, 9, 15, 12 hours a day. And we might start out very, very happy and working on our posture, but as the day goes by, we kind of start slouching. So we created a new variation that not only highlighted the fact that, yes, this product is incredible and it's going to transform your posture, but we also showed the actual person that looks like us, that actually looks in the environment of someone who works all day in front of a computer. And again, the whole idea is that when you're saying something, you also, of course, have to make sure that you are also proving it, and that you're not just saying stuff, but you're showing them that every single message and color and image on the page is supporting your main value proposition. Okay, so we've done research, we have done the audit, and now we need to start running meaningful experiments with the goal of learning from every experiment and optimizing with intent. So for us, tests means that we want to make sure that any experiment that we run answers critical business and customer questions. We run experiments that inform the whole marketing team, and that we can help at least a little to break silos between marketing, sales, and product, because that's usually the type of our clients that we work with that are always kind of siloed, and maybe it's for all of us. It's just really hard. You're running these experiments, you're learning things, and no one's actually using them. So these are the three things that kind of guide us. And when you're thinking about running meaningful experiments, it's not just about those flashy headlines, as I said, it's about the whole thing. So I can show you a few experiments just as an example, and we can walk through them. I want to make sure that I leave time for questions. So teamwork.com, as I mentioned, a project management solution. At last, easy to use project management software you won't outgrow. What we knew before is that their ICP is an agency owner between 32 and 55. They have 10 employees at least. They need reporting, dashboards, and chat. That was basically the data that we were given about their customers. After we did our research, the biggest thing we found out is that the agency owner, who's tired of overpromising and underdelivering, wants to know what is going on, wants to know if she's profitable or not, and if Patty is working or not. That's literally what she wants to know. Yes, does she need dashboards for that? Of course, but that's not what she's looking for. She's looking to answer these questions. So that was the original thing. And then we started auditing different pages with that view. And we looked at their biggest comparison page. Why choose Teamwork over Rike, project management software that lets you work your way so you can focus on the bigger picture? I could literally take teamwork.com's logo here and switch it out with ClickUp Monday, and you wouldn't know the difference. So we created this. Teamwork.com, the right alternative specifically designed for client work. Complete overview of everything and everyone in one place, all the features you need to manage your team and client work, no constant upsells and gating of the features you need to thrive, because Reich gates a lot of these features. And we started writing long copy about this stuff. We've been helping client service businesses manage projects in one place since 2007. See the full financial picture. And you could see, Reich does this, Teamwork does this. And we did a real analysis and help people compare. And we said, now that you've seen the features, let's look at the pricing. And we said, okay, yes, here's the pricing side by side. Here's why this looks cheaper, but it's actually going to cost you more. And we also did the same with the actual features. And we didn't just say board view, portfolio, but we, on the left-hand side, we wrote, here's what you're going to achieve. And then does Reich let you do that or not? And that's the difference when you're making it about the customer and you're helping people make decisions versus just writing the tactical, technical stuff on a comparison page. We did the same for their menu, their navigation. So it used to have overview, features, platforms, add-ons, all the stuff that you're used to seeing in a general kind of SaaS page. And we made it more conversational and very specific to agency work. So everything you need to know, the features you need to run client work. Then we said, hey, we know you're comparing us. So we just added it into the actual navigation because we knew that people were actively comparing. So sure, come and compare us. We've got you. And of course, included testimonials inside each one. Then we said, here's the teams that love us. Here's how they use us. So we really just made sure that anyone coming in here would immediately know that this product was built for them. Can anyone use teamwork.com? Absolutely. But if you run an agency, you should be using teamwork.com because that's the best place to run client work. So let's quickly touch on just 2 emotion-based tests that you can run if you want to start kind of dipping your toes. One is current pain versus desired pain. So once you've done your research, you'll identify the top pains that lead people to you and the emotional outcomes that they're looking for. So Basecamp did a really cool test a while ago. We've been expecting you, hair on fire, versus where it all comes together. So you have the before and the after, and you can check what works better for your customers. Is it talking about their existing pains and the things that they are worried about right now? And of course, saying, and we can help you. Or is it immediately just saying, look, here's our big promise to you. We're going to rid you of all this stuff and you're going to feel amazing and incredible. And this is how it's going to end. So this is one emotion-based test that we love to run. And the second one is solution focus versus customer focus. This was Upright's original homepage. Get Upright to improve your posture, shop healthy posture. And this was our variation, the simplest way to transform your posture, helping 750,000 people sit, stand, and feel better every day. We also added a lot of information to reduce them of this guilt that everyone has, which is we want to have a good posture, but we just forget, and everyone does, and you can outsource all of that to Upright. Okay, so yeah, Zero isn't about changing elements on the page. It's about solving people's problems. And this is just a personal appeal from me to you. Reality sucks. And just be better, be better marketers, be better humans, and just put out better stuff into the world. Your customers do not need countdown timers and scarcity and scare them to death to buy. They just need you to relate to them and speak to them like you know them, and you're actually there to help them. And that's it from me.
Oh my God, that would so be me. Like, yes, I'm the king of the world, and a bird right in my face. Except the bird would totally shit in my face. So it
That's
was
totally me though. It's my life.
gosh.
Oh,
Hey,
Sunny, I love the M dash in 2019. We've
yeah.
used M dashes forever. And ChatGPT's taken M dashes away from me.
I was reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius recently. Every sentence has an M dash, like literally every single sentence.
Good writers use M dashes. That's absolutely. All right.
So that was a really quick run through
Amazing.
of the framework.
It was wonderful. You could have gone on for another 30 minutes, and I know there's a million more examples. So like,
Yeah, I really just wanted to give you guys an overview of everything because there's just so much we could go into, and I didn't really know what people wanted. Do you want to go more into the research or the audit or the testing? So happy to obviously take questions and we can get more like deeper, but just give you the overview.
request, are you willing to share the slides?
Yes, of course, I'd be happy
Awesome.
to.
Awesome. So however, whatever format, if you're willing to share on the TLC calls channel, if you'll drop those in, that would be amazing. And yes, I agree. So much value in such a short time. If anybody has specific questions, you can take yourself off mute. Go ahead, Sonny.
How did you apply any of the emotional targeting principles when writing and then marketing the book? Kind of matter.
Ooh.
So I think actually the best example was that I didn't, right? Because I produced this and I thought this is what business books look like, and I copied everyone, and I was like, well, Rand's book and this person's, like, everyone's book is blue, so I'll just go with blue. But yeah, ultimately I decided that the best way to put a book that I will feel good about will be putting it out with my own comic book nerdiness stuff, and including a lot of quotes from superheroes and stuff. But writing the book was a very hard thing for me. It took me over a year. The moment it was done, I hated it and I never wanted to see it again. I think it's just one of these things that you spend a lot of time on. But I definitely was thinking about, before I sat down to write the book, the first thing I did was I have a huge spreadsheet with almost every single question I've ever been asked on a webinar, podcast, in a conference. I usually ask like for the Slido questions when people are putting in the apps, and I poured through them and I went over and over and I categorized them into, okay, what are the things that people really want to learn? What do they care about the most? And then how do I make sure that I answer those in the book? And that was kind of the first process of just putting out the outline.
That's awesome. But I seriously, so there's, our industry has put out some books that I consider like must reads. And some of them are like my Bibles that like I go back to when I'm like trying to teach a subject or remember how to do something. And then some of them, when I first got them, I start reading because, it was a friend or an industry peer or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna support them, and then they end up being such a delight. And seriously, that this falls into that subject. I really enjoyed it. Tim Wilson's book, by the way. Yes, all my books just fell off the shelf. This is laugh out loud funny, very educational, but also laugh out loud funny. Everybody should read that. It's quite a joy, and very educational. But like if you want to learn and enjoy, I mean, I don't know if you have to be a comic book fan to enjoy it. The fun parts, the educational parts you'll get no matter what, but I'm a huge comic book nerd. So I love this book too for more than just the education. But it's great.
There's I come out of the business world where I'm doing human resource stuff and organization development, that kind of stuff. And if you look at, for example, the Gallup poll, it says, more than a third of the workforces are uninvolved or unengaged. they're having a horrible time at work, basically. And there aren't that many people on the other end who are highly engaged. So it seems, and from my experience at Boeing and the Metropolitan Water, so public, corporate agency, a company, and a large water agency, the people in those organizations were highly engaged. They like coming into work, they like their colleagues, but in the rest of industry, people hate working. And it's like, we love to go to work. Most of us love to go to work. And so I think you have another target audience for your concept in the business world, not in the marketing world.
Yep.
Because managers don't know how to engage people. We try to tell them, but they don't know. They won't listen.
I love that.
Even
that's-
even at the level of just, we've explained to them, giving them a movie ticket is not rewarding them. Showing
Pizza.
appreciation is what really makes the difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's the emotional component. And so I think it was a great presentation, but I think you've got more opportunities than just where you're working.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I love that.
Hey Talia, I have a question for you. I particularly loved the comparison that you did for teamwork.com and Reich, and doing something as big as nav rework as your variation, I imagine is absolutely harrowing at times. And I think, the way that you mentioned uh, running the test, like this is what we did. And yes, I 1,000% agree. Definitely telling the narrative the way that it's supposed to work for the software and for the target audience. But how do you connect with stakeholders who might feel particularly attached to how the nav currently exists? So I guess the question is, like, how could you anticipate stakeholder disagreement, and how can you get them to understand the positioning that you're looking to put forward as part of an experiment?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Thank you, Audrey. Um, First, I want to say that this was by no means the first test that we ran for Teamwork. We worked with Teamwork for almost 3.5 years, and I would say that this test came in year 3, because we had to go through a really long process with them to be allowed to do such a big thing. It definitely came in as they were also rethinking their branding. And they immediately, this was a year prior, they were like, okay, let's redesign. And we stopped them and we're like, let's do some testing and then slowly roll that out. And part of that was navigation. But I would say that the biggest assets that we have is the data. Every time we present any brief or any testing idea, the first thing we present is the data and the insights. And we do a real comparison, because specifically with some of our clients, you get like the CEOs are suddenly interested, and people are, there's a lot of politics around homepage, navigation, like big pages. Then we do an actual presentation of, here's what's happening right now on the site. Here's what we've learned and what people are saying. For the homepage redesign, we did them for them. For example, we first did 15 interviews with agency owners, and we asked them to walk us through competitors and show us how they shop and how they do things. And we actually showed them, look, people use the homepage for 1, 2, and 3. This is how they do it. And now here's how people are using your homepage, and here's how we want to make it better, and here's what people are looking for, and these are the information. So a lot of it is prepping them. And I'm not going to say there was no pushback. There's always pushback, especially with messaging and copy. But getting buy-in for the test is actually easier this way, because there's a lot of data and research, and we're coming with like the big guns of like, here's everything and all our stuff. And also, to speak to Erwin's note before, emotional targeting is kind of meta, because obviously I'm aware of how our clients feel and how they want to feel and who I'm speaking to and how the designer on the team feels. And I've spoken to them and gotten time to like really understand their motivations and the CEO's motivations. And that also helps. You're kind of that connector. Was it Tom that said that we're the bridge? Yeah, I feel like it's such a good.
And Ruben talks about it as well, being the bridge between the different teams.
Sometimes I feel more of a psychologist than a CRO.
It's helpful. One more, we have, if you
Yeah.
have a second, one more question. How do you guys decide when doing an A/B test, whether to change a single element or a complete overhaul?
Thank you. Annoying answer. It depends. It depends on the build of the website. It depends on the buy-in from the team, how hard it would be to implement a test, and how long it will take to get results. CRO isn't just about A/B testing. Sometimes we do before and afters, which aren't statistically significant. But in order to get real results, you have to do a bigger change. We're not all booking.com, so we can't just change the shade of orange on our button and see incredible results. So a lot of the times we do actually have to have take bigger swings. And I'm not worried about that because I'm looking for directional uplift and I'm not just constantly looking at just this one test. So it depends. Sorry if that's an annoying answer, but CRO is kind of annoying that way.
But there's also more than one way to answer a question. It's not always randomized controlled trials to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Once again, thank you so much, Talia. And just a real quick reminder, everybody, August 22nd, June Dershowitz will be here to talk about excellence in analytics. And September 5th, we will have Juliana Jackson, rethinking marketing analytics in 2025, aligning insights, intent, and impact. We did reschedule the live TLC event with Creative CX in London, and it will be, I believe, October 1st. More about that soon. Thank you so much. The recording will come out in about an hour probably, and it'll be posted on the TLC YouTube channel and the recordings channel. And again, Talia, if you'll share your slides on the TLC
I'm on
Slack.
it.
Thank you all. And I'll also post them on LinkedIn for those of you who aren't in the Slack so you won't miss them. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
Thanks.
weekend.
Bye.